lecture we are having, so that we do not have backlogs. There are videos, there are lecture notes, there are quizzes, and all of these resources are available on the Google Classroom for everyone. And even to those who have just joined, some people joined in the last couple of days. All the materials you need are on the Google Classroom, and you would do yourself a lot of good by ensuring you go through the material. When you have questions, please feel free to ask on the Google Classroom. The facilitators will do their best to respond. And even their classmates here who also respond. And thank you. I must thank everyone who have provided responses to queries, inquiries, or questions by some of us who are having one challenge or the other. So please let us feel free to make use of the classroom. Let it be engaging so that we all learn together. And then I would also want to again acknowledge the support we've received from USAID, United States Agency for International Development, the funders of PRCI, under which this project is being run. Not to forget Michigan State University being the lab lead for PRCI, and the partners, founding partners of PILAF, the Center for Petroleum, Energy, Economics, and Law, University of Ibadan, and the Department of Agricultural Research and Agricultural Extension and Rural Development, also University of Ibadan. For some of us may not know, lecturer, the lead facilitator of this training is Professor Olusoye Olubusoye. Is the director of CPIL, that is one of the founding departments of PILAF, and he's also the HOD of DIMPIL, Department of Mineral Economics and Law, and Energy Economics and Law, University of Ibadan. So we are grateful to him for his kind support to given to the training. We also want to acknowledge one of our partners, which is the regional. Which is RUNAPRI, which is the regional network of agricultural policy research institutes. We have one of the executive directors, also a participant here. We acknowledge and we thank you for your support. And to everyone without which this training would have been possible. If it is one thing to organize a training, to make an opportunity available, it is another thing to get people to participate. We're happy that you all are here, and the feedback we are getting is quite encouraging, and we hope that everyone is able to go back home with something valuable at the end of the training. We want to on behalf of PILAF, we want to apologize for the postponement of our brown bag series. We shared it last week. Was supposed to hold on Tuesday, but we have shifted to next Tuesday. And we hope that some of you who are interested can join. And not to forget, the training is on bridging the gap in agricultural financing. So we would want those who are interested. We'll send the link or the notice, the flyer to the classroom. For those who are interested in joining, please you register. And for today's today's lecture, we'd want to today's lecture will be quite exciting, and I'm sure I expect every one of us to have gone through the lecture notes, or at least go through the outline. The first is we'll be describing data using the following commands: describe, list, inspect, summarize, and codebook. Some of us know the describe and list commands already. And we also have we'll explore data, frequencies, and cross tabulations. And then we'll also go through multiple frequencies and then producing summary statistics using TabStat. The last of which is creating a pivot table using TabSum. So once again, I would like to welcome Professor Olubusoye to take over the classroom and then teach us. Thank you, sir. You're welcome, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Redele. And let me say good day to you, distinguished participants. You are welcome again to another round of our Stata training. I'm sure that you are making the best of this opportunity. Whatever we can do to help you, please feel free to let us know. Today, let me share my slide. I hope you can see my screen now.
Yes, we can.
Great.
Yes.
So our discussion today will focus on how we can describe data and how we can summarize data. Remember that you really have no business using Stata if you have
Hello,
no
sir.
data. If you have no data to analyze. So the purpose of you trying to learn data is because you have data or you hope to have data to work with and to draw insights either for your research or for policy advice and other important reasons. So gradually we are moving into...
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir. My name is Gujo Koizeli. Yeah, I would like to follow the course with you guys. I'm new.
Okay,
Hello,
so
sir.
you are welcome. You are
Thank you,
welcome. You
sir.
are
Thank you,
welcome.
sir.
We are glad to have you, but the reality is that we can't start from the beginning because you are just joining.
Yeah.
Good enough. We have all the previous videos
Okay, sir.
uploaded into the Google Classroom.
Okay,
So
sir.
the burden is on you to carefully take time, create time to watch those videos and
Yeah.
also do the quiz assignment posted. That will help you to um, evaluate yourself, and if you have
Okay.
issues, you can then discuss on the platform so that those who are more knowledgeable can assist.
Okay,
We are
sir.
quite many on this platform, so it won't be wise to just abandon others and then focus on one person.
Okay,
So
sir.
you
Thank you, sir.
you have the responsibility to catch up with us.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Oh,
So I
thank you,
was
sir.
saying that please, while I'm talking, I will plead that you also allow me to give the interlude before we now start discussing at random. But I will always create an interlude, and invite you to say whatever you want to say, so
Okay,
that
sir.
we can really achieve all that we have packaged to deliver today.
Okay.
So data is very crucial. And if you have no data, you have no need for data. If you are not planning to have data, you have no need also to learn about data, about data. So gradually we are moving into the core uh, uses or core function of data. So
Okay.
describing and summarizing may not be the final goal of any data analyst. They are pre-processing stages where you try to understand your data. Anybody working with data must always see data as something you must understand. It's a patient. It's the way doctor will see patients. So your data is actually your patient. And there are three things doctors will normally do, which I also want to encourage you to do when you are dealing with your patient data. The first is that doctors will ask the client, or the patient will ask, the doctor will ask the patient some questions. So there will be what we call interrogation. How are you feeling? You know, so when did this thing start? Um, is it is it a family thing, or so? Questions will be asked. So that is always the beginning of the um, of finding a solution to the problem, of diagnosing the problem. The second thing the doctor will do is to after interrogation, the doctor will examine. So you should also learn how to examine your data. The doctor will look at the temperature, will look at the eyes, will look at the BP and things like that. And the last thing is to test. So the doctor will now go, okay, go and do urine test, go and do blood test. So those things enable the doctor to diagnose the problem, correctly. The same way, you should know how to interrogate your data by knowing how to describe it, knowing how to examine your data by summarizing it, and knowing how to test your data. That we will do in subsequent lectures. So what are the tools for interrogating, for examining our data? So these are five tools that we are going to talk about today. So first, we look at how we describe data using some of these commands like describe, list. We have used them before, even summarize, and possibly codebook. Again, we are going to see how we can explore our data. So that is trying to look at patterns and relationships. And we can construct frequency tables. We can produce summary statistics, which are good indicators about the center, about the spread, and about the shape of the data we are at hand. And then we can also create a pivot table using tab sum. So these are, so from now I'm going to switch to you can follow the outline, the slides from your own end, but I'm now going to move to the Stata environment. I'm sure you can see my Stata window.
Yes, you do.
Excellent. So
Yes, we can.
okay, but maybe before I do that, let me take you back to the slide, particularly this one. So if we have to describe our data, or describe, or extract information from the data and obtain descriptive statistics. Stata has a number of commands available that we can use. For instance, codebook is a command that will help to summarize variable properties. So whether you are dealing with numeric variable, string variable, and whatever property of the variable, see, we can list which list observations. I have made the distinction between what you have in the rows and what you have in the column. Working with Stata, you need to have structured data set where you have in the columns the variables and where you have in the row the observations. So list helps to list observations. Tab will create frequency tables. We can also count the number of observations. We can describe the properties of the variables in our data set. We can also summarize the properties of those variables in terms of their statistical properties, the average, the standard deviation, and several other measures of location, measures of spread, and measures of shape. We can use summarize to obtain that. So now back to our Stata environment. Here we are going to start our demonstration using the popular inbuilt data set that we've been using. So I'm going to use the data auto. You are already familiar to this inbuilt data set, which comes with your system, with your Stata. So that is the command. I'm sure you the font is big enough for you to see. So for this discussion, if you look very at the menu, we will be focusing on the third item in the menu that you have data. In the menu, you will see file, you see edit, you see data. And then moving down, you see a bunch of other items. So our discussion will actually be on virtually everything here. So this is where you will need to do your data description. You need either you want to describe data in memory or data in a file. So you can also describe data contents using the code book. You can inspect variables. You can list data. You can also compactly list variable names, and you can do summary statistics. So most of our discussion will first of all center on this part today, and then later we move to summary, and then we look at summary, particularly a summary of frequency tables, one-way table, two-way table with measures of association, multiple one-way tables, all possible two-way tables, and table calculator. So this we might, if we have the time and if you allow
Patrick,
me,
please mute your.
certainly be able to cover this aspect. So let's start with first, how do we describe data in the memory? Now, you need to understand that right now I've loaded this data auto. So there is, the data is in the Stata memory right now. So that is the data in memory. But there are other Stata data files that have not, that they are in my working, that could be in my working folder, but they are not in the memory. They are in the system memory, not in Stata memory. The auto that I open right now is the one that is in the Stata memory. But I could have other files in my working folder, which I may want to describe. So I can also do that without necessarily calling, or, without necessarily opening the file. And that's what we do here. So if I click that, you will see the dialog box, which gives you a number of options that you can do. So you can describe data in memory, as I've said. You can describe file on disk. Data in memory is the data that has been opened and in Stata's memory. The one in file or disk is not open, but is in your system's disk. And so you can also, without opening such files, you can describe them directly from the How do we do that? Let's start with in memory. So the first thing we will do now, you will be learning how to use the menu, together with the regular command. So you should be, by the time you get yourself very used to Stata, you might not need to start going to menu, selecting and opening dialog box. You could easily write your command easily. So if I'm trying to describe the data here, I can just click OK if I want all the variables. But if I want to select some variables, I might just from here pick the variables I want to describe. So maybe for purpose of this discussion of this class, let's start with that describe, and we could simply submit. Okay, so this is the summary, and you can see the command here is describe. So the command is also in the command window. You already know the various windows in Stata. And so when you describe, you are able to have information about the number of observations, particularly first the location of the file, and then the number of observations there, the number of variables. This is the memory size, and you have details about the data and possibly the date it was last edited. You have the variable names, the storage type, the display format, the value label where you have a variable label. So this is described, but so this one is quite detailed. What you want at times also could be that you just want to look at this command, describe, comma, simple. This is another simple. If you don't need all the details about variable, the variable, the variable storage type, all the number of observation, variable size. You simply want to see all the variable in your data set. You can use describe, comma, simple, comma. It will list all the variables only in your testing. But you will know that the way it is listed here, it doesn't follow. It follows the same way you possibly have it. Make, price, MPG, rep. So you have it in that order. Let's look at another command which you can possibly use. Instead of saying simple, I can say describe short. So in other words, this time with short, I don't even need those variable names. I only need this top information which describes the observation, number of observation, the variables, number of variables, and then the size. So describe, comma, short will give you a very compact sort of description, giving you the number of observations. Sometimes also you can use describe together with full names. If you want, Stata has a limit for variable name. The number of characters that you can have for variable name is 8. But when you use describe and you include the option full names, then the full name will be displayed rather than being shortened or being being truncated. So that is that. You could also simply you may want to allow Stata to enumerate the variables. In other words, give numbers to each variable. So if I want that, I could give the option describe and then put the numbers option. And so the description will now be able to give you what variable is number 1, what variable is number 2, what variable is number 3, and of course, so you have the variables numbered. So these are some of the options that you have, in describe window. All these options, you could see them if you go to describe. They are all here. Display only variable names, display only general information, do not abbreviate. You could try all of this. So, but the simple command that you can use to get them are the ones I've used. Yeah. So the next thing is, you see, I've described data that is in the memory. But let me take you to, first of all, you need to, of course, you've been taught how to look at this. This is my working folder, pillar, and I have this data quiz for data. Now, this data is in the file. It's not loaded. It's not in the memory. The data in the memory at this moment is the auto data. And so, even with that, I can still describe that file or any other Stata file for that matter. But I'm going to use this one, which is in the disk, but not in Stata's memory. So how do I do that? Of course, the normal thing is to come here and come here, then click this, the window will come, and you can now choose file on the disk. You need to navigate to the folder containing that. So I'm going to navigate there, and this is the folder pillar. So this is the data I want to describe. Mind you, this data is not in Stata's memory. It's only in Stata's disk. So I can open. So the Stata will take note of the location address, and then if I want to describe all the variables, fine, I can just click OK in this case. So it has described this data, telling me I have variable ID. The data will not appear here. So this is still the data in the memory. But I'm able to describe this data knowing that, oh, I have this data containing ID, year, sex, income, unemployment. So this is how to use, you could simply see the script. You only need to use describe, followed by using, and then of course the directory, the directory to the location of the file. That is that. So this is how to describe data in memory and data in the file. I can allow one or two or three questions at this moment. Or do I continue?
No, thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Please, I have a question, sir.
Okay, Shehu, go on.
Yeah. If you want to call a data from our maybe from our disk,
yes,
must it be in DTA format? Because I open one data now, it is CSV format, but the thing is not opening on my own system.
And then it tells you it won't open. So it has to be a DTA data file.
Okay, sir. Okay, thank you, sir.
That's a good question. That's a good question. Sometimes you learn things by getting it wrong. No. Sometimes you learn it by trial and error. There are things you will even try on your own. I've never tried before that will work for you, and I will be learning from you. So, but I know that this one, you need your data to be in DTA format.
Okay, Prof.
Hello, sir.
Prof.
Hello.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, sir. How about if
this is Joseph from Abuja.
Okay,
hello, sir.
Nigeria. Is that
Yeah,
Nigeria?
this Joseph Achamu from Abuja, from Abuja.
Yeah, I'm saying it's Abuja in Nigeria.
Yes. Yeah. Please, Prof, please, I want to be clear. What does it, when you say the data has to be in DTA, how does you convert data to DTA format? What does it supposed to mean?
Any data you save in Stata, we have the extension DTA, which makes it a Stata data file. If you save data in Excel, it will have, depending on the extension, the file extension you could save as CSV, you could save as XLS, XLXX, and so on like that. So in SPSS, it has its own file extension. So every statistical package has its own file extension. So once I see DTA in the file extension, I know that this file is saved in Stata format.
Okay, so it is only file that are saved in data format that can be uploaded as the way you taught us.
That's not that can be uploaded, that can be described.
That can be described. Yes. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, you can upload any data. Stata allows you to upload any data into your memory.
You,
so I think we have done that before. So, but what we are discussing now is a Stata data file that is in your disk, but not in the Stata memory. But you want to describe it.
Hello, sir. What's the importance of display format?
What is the importance of
display format?
Display format
on the table you are showing us on your screen.
This display format.
Yes, sir.
It tells you about the format. It's about the number of characters and whether it will allow for decimal or not.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Great. So let's move on to the next page. Hello, this is the last question I will take. We have not gone anywhere.
The question I want to ask, sir.
Yes.
I tried something here. After describing the data in the disks, I tried to do lists. Nothing showed. Is it descriptive?
I've not talked about list now. I will still come to list.
Okay, from the data in the disks. It's okay.
You can't do list for data in the disk.
Okay.
You can only describe data in the disk.
It's okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes. So let's now talk about another command, which is, so let me do away with this. So we are still dealing with our data system use, auto. So we now want to move to how we can use the code book to describe data content. So I won't be going through all this again. I will just be using the command, but you could, to save time when you are on your own, try to follow everything here and follow the slides, the discussion in the slides, right? So for code book, I could simply say code book. So if I say code book, so it will describe, look at it will take each variable variable make, give the label, give information about that variable. Is a string variable. In other words, it's non-numeric, but the longest is string 17. So unique values, there are 74. There are 74 unique values there. So, and remember there are 74 observations there. So, which means almost each observation is a unique value. And you have examples of those, of the entries in make variable, like card devile, Dodge Magnum, Mark XR7, Point Catalina. So there is a warning here that the variable has embedded blanks. There are spaces between them. So the price variable, you can see, is numeric and is integer. No, and this is the range, this is the minimum, this is the maximum. So easily with code book, you can have a glimpse of different of your data. In fact, it tells you that you have 0 out of 74, 0 missing data out of 74. So even from here, you can know whether a variable has a missing value or not. You can see the mean, you can see the standard deviation. So these are just preliminary, checks, and this detail for the remaining data. So I'm going to break this to save time. So that same code that I put as code and run, I could also put code all. It will do the same job, which means I'm interested in describing the data content of all the variables, I could also use another, I could be interested only maybe in one variable to save time. I may just be interested in just description of only one variable. Let's say the variable which is the repair record, as at 1978. So that is the only one that is described here. And it tells the label, repair record as at 1979. The type of variable is numeric. There are, the minimum observation is 1, and the maximum is 5. The unit is 1, so, and the unique values, there are 5 unique values there. So there are 5 observations that are missing out of 74. And the tabulation shows that you have 2 ones, you have 8 twos, you have 30 threes, you have 18 fours, you have 11 fives, and then you have 5 that are missing. That's the dot you see here. I could also use the code to ask if there are problems. So I could put code book problems only to bring out problems. Okay, so the only problem area, potential problem, and the variables concerned is actually one variable that is signaling problem, and that is the make variable. And you need to understand this make variable. Let me just use list make. Make one, let me say to 5. Sorry, make in. So look at just the first 5 variables, 5 observations in make. You have the AMC code. So the problem that Stata is raising is that it's a string variable that may be compressed. So you can compress those string variables. Then it's a string variable with embedded blanks. Of course, you can see spaces between AMC and Concord and so on. So those are potential problems. If there are other variables with potential problems, that will also be mentioned here. Lastly, using the code book, you could be interested in making the code book to be very compact. So you can use the compact option. So if you use the compact option, it won't be extended type of report you see previously. So you can see make variable observations, unique ones. There are 74 makes of different make vehicles or brand of vehicles. So each of them is unique. Because it's string, that is why the mean cannot be obtained, the minimum does not exist, the maximum does not exist. But this is the label. Price is numeric, so the mean is exists, and so on like that. So this is what compact command helps to achieve. So all this allow you to quickly have insight into or to understand your data, basically, to know your data, to know the variables, to know problems in the variables. One bad habit is for you to run analysis without you doing this pre-processing kind of stage, going through this pre-processing stage in your analysis. You must understand your data. So you can't just the way doctors will not just prescribe medication without first of all trying to understand what the problem of the patient is. So don't ever do that, right? So I will allow for just 2 questions here. Any question on code book?
Hello, Prof. Seems like
yes.
If you write code book itself, it shows describe each variable, and it's the same as if you make code book then /all. It seems simple.
Yes, underscore all. It will give you the same thing.
Okay.
You are very brilliant. Any other question?
Hello, Prof.
Okay, great, Raouf.
Yes, can we say that the code book is working exactly like a summary?
Will you say that?
Okay, because I'm seeing mean and the same thing that summary result normally give with code book.
What other things does summary give that code book does? You see, so they perform different, but they can provide similar information, but they are actually not a replacement, a substitute in a way.
All right, sir.
Hello, Prof. Are you happy?
Hello, Prof.
Yes, sir. Thanks so much, sir.
Yeah.
Hello, Prof.
Hello, sir. Go on.
Please, Prof, why you identify a problem in make?
Yes.
At the point I got lost, I was not following. You actually gave a command, list make in observation 1 to 5. And then already Stata has identified that there are variables that may need to be compressed and there are variables that are embedded in blank. But me looking at your result after you gave the command list make one in 1 to 5, how do we know a variable that needs to be compressed and that which is embedded in blank?
But the variable is mentioned here, make. So,
yes, you've already. I felt there are observations in the variable make.
No, they are not observations. They are just about the variable. So it tells problem about the variable, not the observation. I just use make in 1 to 5, just for you to see the first 5 observations so that you can understand what Stata is flagging as a problem.
Okay, I understand now.
Great.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Sir.
Hello.
Yeah. Excuse me, sir. I want to know what is the importance of the compat code book compat? Importance of the code book compat.
Yeah. Are you not happy? Look at the way this one is summarized. If I simply use code book, the information that will be provided will be overwhelming. No, let me use code book alone. The information will be overwhelming. So look at, this is the code book. It will provide extensive information about each variable, make, price, MPG, headroom, trunk, weight, length, ton. Can you see? So it's not easy to see. Compare that with when you have this compact and you can see, virtually everything on your window. So, but it depends on the kind of concern you have, or the kind of the kind of understanding you want to have about your data. Is that all right?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Can I move on?
Please, you can proceed, bro.
Okay, so the next thing now is if you go to data, describe data, we've talked about data in memory or in file, describe data content, code book, inspect. We are now going to inspect variables. And I've said I won't be taking you through the window. You can go to the window yourself. In fact, if you go to the window, you will see a lot of things. You can go to help. You can also, you can copy the command to clipboard. Let's say I just copy this and then I can come and paste it here. That's it. I can then say inspect. So this is inspect command. Inspect, is a very, very useful command that you should use to understand your data. Unlike the code book, which provides some, inspect provides more detail about the data. Of course, the variable make, for instance, here, is a string variable. So there is no number of observations is 74. You can't talk of negative, no zero, no positive, no integer, no non-integer. But if you look at variable like price, or let me, yes, variable like price, where is it? So look at variable like price. This is the minimum, 3,291. This is the maximum, 1,000, and then only one is even the maximum. And you can see the next to the maximum, the next to the next to the maximum. You can see majority of these car owners, they earn income around this place. And there are 74 unique values. In other words, each vehicle has its own unique price. No two vehicles have same price. And then here, you quickly see how many negatives. One of the things you will find very funny is where you see negative price here, then you know there is a problem with the data. So you might need to check. Why do I have negative price? If you see price that is also zero, so this inspection allows you to quickly spot errors and problems with your data set. You can see all the observations. There are integers, 74 integers, and then there are no missing observations. So you could easily see this kind of thing. So that is the beauty of inspect. You may also wish to inspect, do inspection for one variable at a time. So I can just say, okay, inspect MPG alone. So this is the MPG. If inspecting the whole will look messy and rowdy, you can just choose to inspect. In the MPG, there are 21 unique values. And you can see the highest is 41, and you can see the lowest is 12. So again, this MPG is the mileage. All of them are positive, and they are all integers. No zero, no negative, no non-integer, no missing. So this is how you use inspect command. Great. 2 questions here. Any question on inspect command? It's like some people. Hello, Prof. I'm using Stata 17 and it doesn't describe the size of the data set. How will I get value of the data set, sir? You are using, did you type describe and it doesn't work?
For Stata 17.
You are using Stata 17.
Yeah, the size is, if you want to see the size is under the properties.
Sorry, I didn't get that.
The size is under the properties.
Did you type describe command and?
Yeah, it doesn't give the size, but if you go to the properties, there is size there.
There is no size there.
There is size under properties, but the size, if you describe, you cannot get the size of your data. But if you go to the properties window, there is size there for Stata 17.
Okay, maybe that's a version. I have not checked that. I have 17, but not on this system. So maybe I will look at that.
I'm not the one who asked the question. I was just responding.
Okay. Oh, thank you very much. So I can see some
Hello, sir.
Raising up. Is that Raouf?
No, hello, sir.
Hello, Kasim.
Yeah, I want to know, based on what we did now, a code book, and we type problem, and we realize that the problem is we make, but we don't care. And suppose that that is your own data, and you write code book problem, and you find that one of your variable have a problem like that.
Yeah.
We don't. I don't know what does it mean.
What
We
is the
don't
solution?
need. Yeah, yeah, it will be a condition.
Yeah, you know, yes. It's just to sort of warn you ahead. If you are going to do some other things in future, for instance, you can't use that variable to do any arithmetic operation. You can't use that variable in your regression. You can't use it for, so it helps you to know the limitations of that variable, where you can use it or not. It's not a problem like that will require surgical operation or that you should remove some things. No, it's a warning that, okay, there is a bridge ahead. Just the way when you are driving, you have a sign telling you there is danger, there is a narrow bridge ahead. So those signs, they are not problems themselves. No problem has been created. Is that clear to you?
Yeah, very clear. Thanks, sir.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. So they are pre-warning. They are not necessarily problem that will stop you from doing further analysis. So it only helps you to know the limitations of that variable or where you can use it. This is a very brilliant class. You can now lower your hand, Rahul, and let's move on to the next next thing. So we've been looking at yes, I've talked about the inspect. If you go back to this data menu describe, the next thing is the list. The list. Of course, most of us were already familiar with this list. So let's use the list. If you open it, you can even just copy that function, this thing here, and just put list. But if you can see, if you create list, you see, it will list all of them. Mind you, there are 74. List the first one, list the second one, list the third one. So it's going to 74. So more. We are going to, is it 74 or 70, whatever. So you have to break it. So we can list, use list for certain number, maybe select some variable, make, price, MPG. We can list just few variables that we want. So it's quite better now. We can also list those variables. We can list and use the option compress. Option compress. We can list and also use the option no compress. We can use the option no compress. In other words, when I use compress, which means I can force some, the format will be compressed. You may not see the difference very clearly, but you can take time to know. No compress will not, you can see the spacing here. Just does the quick thing you will observe. Look at the spacing here. It compressed and reduced the spacing. Here, it allows the normal spacing, no compressing. So the the format you specify is the format that has come up here. So this is the difference between compressed, this one is compressed, and no compressed. You could also use list to choose the number of observations you want to see. You can say, maybe since we have 74 observations here, we can say in 1 to 12, maybe we want to see the first 12. So I can also say I want to see the observations between 25 and 6 and 30. No. So instead of seeing everything, you can choose the range of observations you want to see. So you can also you can see some of these to be very long, so you can abbreviate them. For instance, I can use another I can use option abbreviate into, normally it should be 8 characters, but I can abbreviate into 5 or 6, let's say 6 characters. So you can see it has it has nothing has happened. Cannot see any abbreviation. Okay, let me change this. Again, nothing has happened. Okay, so but abbreviate is an option which allows you to reduce the number of characters in the variables, either to reduce it to the default number 8 or increase it to a higher number. Then we can also use list to impose certain conditions. For instance, if you look at price, I might be interested in listing those vehicles. I might be interested in listing those vehicles that have their prices to exceed or greater than, let's even say, 5,000. I want the list of the make, the brand, I want the brand, the price, and the MPG if the price is equal to or greater than 500. This is another use of list command. So you will see now that there is no price here that will be less than. So you will see observation 1 to 4, they have prices that is less than 5,000. That's why they are not listed. Observation 7 is also not listed. Observation 10 is not listed, and so on like that. So these are the only ones with prices exceeding 5,000, equal to or greater than 5,000. So this is another very useful command to enable you understand your data. Before I give an interlude again, let's go to describe. We have talked about this. Let's see how we can compactly list variable names. How we can compactly list variable names. This is the window. You can just copy the command here and paste. So if I use PS, so this is, you will compare this with the was it when we use code, when we use was it describe compact or so. DS is a command that we use to compactly describe variables or variable names. So you might not see information about data per se, but you will see information about variable. I may be interested in variables. I may want to list those variables that has data type to be string. Data type to be string. So I'm asking, please list all the variables with string data type. So there is problem has, okay. I shouldn't put anything here. So these are the variables. The only variable that is data type is string is make. So others are actually integers, numeric, and so on. If I want to list variables and I want to exclude some, for instance, I can say, okay, PS make, PS price, DS trunk, DS ton. So if I put option not, what I'm now saying is that list those that are not here. So of course we have 12 variables and I'm only saying I want to see only those that are not listed here. So it's going to list MPG because it's not listed there. It's going to list headroom, length. So that is another option you may want to use. Another popular option is to use the option alpha. So I can use DS only and put alpha. In other words, I want the variables listed alphabetically so that displacement which starts with D will come first, followed by F, G, and so on like that. So option alpha will do that. So I have displacement, foreign, GR ratio, headroom. The last one is weight. I can also use that same option and then put detail. This time around, I get more detailed information, though I have them in alphabetical order. I now also have their storage type, their display format, their value, and their variable label. And I can also use option alpha and also prescribe the variable width, and then for instance, I can have this, I can have alpha, I can prescribe the variable width that I want. Let's say I want variable with 6 characters, and I say skip. Yeah. So this time I force those ones with long. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I force it now to have just six characters. And that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I deliberately, force this displacement with that number of characters to 6. This is when I want to have a what do you call it? A quick view of your variable. Then skip 5 means the gap that you should have between one variable or the other. For you to understand that, I could possibly make that to be 10. You will see the gap now. Can you see the gap is wider now between one variable or the other? So that is what you are trying to do in that command. You could also use alpha alongside the need to list variables of certain certain type of variable. So maybe this time I'm interested in integer variable. So I have PS, in other words, describe compactly. Alpha means in alphabetical order, but only for those variables that are integer. So you won't see make there because make is a string. So all these ones are all integer. So this is how to use DS describe compactly. Any question? Time is really flying at this point.
I don't have a question, Professor, but I just wanted to share that, when you tried to use the abbreviation.
Yes.
It actually abbreviates the variable in the same way we used var width.
Okay.
Now, the reason we didn't see a change is because we put the number 6 when those variables had less than 6 letters.
Okay.
That's why we didn't see the abbreviation. But when I tried with headroom, which has more than 6 letters, it abbreviated to 6. I just thought I should share my discovery.
Thank you very much. In fact, from today, you are a professor. I think you like that.
Thank you. I received that.
So you are awarded right away. So Thank you very much. That's the kind of inspiration we like. So, any other burning questions so that we can start moving to the next leg of our presentation? So, now we want to go to, of course, in this data described, the last aspect is the summary statistics. So by the end of this lecture, anybody should be able to work, describe his data around, know how to describe data. I've seen many people writing articles, they don't understand the data they are even working with. It's not, they know how to do sophisticated analysis, but they cannot really, they are not friendly with their data. They don't have good knowledge, good understanding of what their data is all about. But they know the techniques, they know the tools, those sophisticated tools, but they don't know the data. But if you don't know your data, you cannot really make good sense from that data set. So here we have summary statistics. So the job of summarizing is starting now. So we could even just copy this and then just paste it here and then summarize. So what do you see in the summarize command? You can easily see that one, the variable, the number of observations, the mean, the standard deviation, the minimum, the maximum. But you won't see values, mean, standard deviation for variables that are string. That's why make is not having values here. One other thing you will notice is that there is a separator, a line separator after 5 observations. Five variables. So the first 5 variables, you see a separator line. And next, you can choose how many, but this is the default. This is the default. If I want my separator to be 4, then I will put operation separator. And then I will indicate how many, 4, right? So, wow, what's my problem there? So it is the way I pronounce it. I pronounce it in Nigeria way. That's why I have that problem now. So if you pronounce it in your own local language, you may not have problems. Stata might understand your own language. But it doesn't understand my language. So this is, you will notice the separator now is after 4 variables. I could choose that I want the separators after two variables. Why not? So, but the default is 5. If you don't put the number of separator, it will automatically make it 5. So you could also separate, you could also choose some variables if you really don't want to summarize all the variables. You could decide to summarize, and of course, remember that it's not all variables you can actually summarize.
Excuse me, sir.
Okay, please.
Please, sir. Yeah,
Okay, please.
I have a question. I don't know if you can give me some explication about Skype. When I try in my own, I put the Skype 30, and it said that, for example, before summarize, we did
yes.
DS. DS
Yes.
alpha variable wide. After that, you put Skype, and in the Skype you put 10. And in my own, I tried to put 2011, but it didn't work. I don't know.
You mean this one?
Please. Instead to put 10, I put 11, 12, but you see that Skype should be in the range 1 to 10. And I don't know. Did you have a question from
No.
explication?
It will be, you will see it may not be so obvious if the number is not so large. If you put, if I put 11, it will work, but you will not be able to know because the space is going to be very small.
Okay.
Is that okay? So for you to see the difference, make the value to be far apart, maybe 5, 10, 15, you will see.
Thanks, sir. It's good.
It's good.
Yeah, it's good. I try.
Hello, Prof.
Okay, so try to
Hello, Prof.
mute yourself now. Mute yourself.
Hello, Prof.
Hello, sir.
It's like this summarize is only for numeric data.
Of course, can you summarize string data? If your name is, what's your name?
Emmanuel.
Emmanuel. If my name is Olubusoye, how do we summarize that?
It's okay, sir.
Thank you. So for string variable, you cannot summarize, but you can you can do frequency if they appear more than once, and we will soon get there. Yes.
Hello, sir.
Yes, sir.
Hello, sir. Prof, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah. In the command status there, when you write, you wrote a summarize. What the meaning? What does MPG stand for?
MPG is a variable now.
Okay.
Are you just joining the class?
No, sir.
I've talked about MPG many times today. Okay, so let's move on because our time is really running fast. So we could also summarize a selected group of variables. Sorry, I can summarize and then summarize. You know, variable foreign, for instance. Look at foreign, even though it's a dummy variable. So you have vehicles that are produced. We have vehicles that are produced within the country. But if the vehicle is produced outside, then it is assigned 1. So foreign, I can now summarize MPG weight and say, I want it only for foreign. So if foreign, so I can say if foreign. So I can use if condition there. So here now, I can see the weight, summary of MPG weight only for those that are foreign. So this is the MPG. There are 22 of them that are foreign. There are 22 also weights that are foreign. And this is the summary. The minimum is this and so on. So we could also summarize based on, let me include price here, for instance. Let me include price. And then I want to see price, MPG, mileage, and I want details. I want option to include option detail. So if I include option detail, then the summary will include not only the It will include the percentile, the smallest, no. It will include the number of observations, the sum of the, then you see the first percentile, the fifth percentile, the 10th percentile, the 25th, up to the 99th percentile. You see that, you see the smallest, you see the largest. And then you see variance, mean, standard deviation, variance, skewness, you see kurtosis. You see that also for the other variable. So you have more detail. So in once you include the option detail, you get more information, which will include percentiles, mean, standard deviation, variance, skewness, and all of that. We could also do something, you know, the foreign, I told you, you have make, foreign make, you have also local make. So we could use by command and say by foreign. In other words, I want the analysis based on foreign, and then I can also use the sort command alongside, and then I can now summarize variable. I can now summarize maybe I'm interested only in price and the number of repairs, repair records of the vehicle. So this is beautiful. So for domestic vehicle, I can see the summary of price and make repairs. I can see for domestic there are 52, and then for price for foreign you have 22. That's out 74. Then for repairs you have 48, whereas for foreign you have 21. Obviously, what you quickly notice here is that there are more repairs. Repair record is high for domestic vehicles compared to the foreign vehicles. But in terms of their average, the average is higher. The average repair is higher for foreign vehicle compared to the domestic. The average price is also smaller for domestic compared with. So you can quickly make sense from your data this way. So that is the end of this part of our discussion. I try to rush. I think rushing. So anybody in this class should be able to work conveniently here, know every bit of line, how to use, describe data in memory or in a file, describe data contents, inspect variable, list data, compactly list variable names, summarize data. Stata is very, yes, please go on.
Please, sir, if we want to use the menu with the command you just gave us now, how do we go about that?
If you want to use the menu,
yes, sir.
I always show you, just go to summarize, right? You can go to describe. What you should grow is to know how to use, try many things. This is the by function that I use, right? This is the by function. So this is where you select. This is, you choose the variable by foreign. Choose the variable by foreign. And then what variable are you trying to summarize? I'm trying to summarize price. I'm also trying to summarize rep. That's all. Any other thing that I want? No. So I want only the standard display. So do I want it sorted? If I want it sorted, you can use a range. I can even use a range observations. No, just general use variable display. Anything there importance. So, well, so if this is submitted now, so this is what to have. So you can see you have produced the same thing. Is that clear? So you could do that without having to go to the window, before you do that. Do I answer your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Excellent. So let's move to, this time is not our friend. If I don't finish, there is no cause for worry. Just follow the discussion.
Sorry, Prof.
Yes.
So yeah, somebody asked a question that's on the chat box. He said,
Okay.
what could be responsible for a summarized? I think he wanted to type data that having standard deviation being greater than mean. That is it possible for, or why would the standard deviation be greater than mean? I think it's possible.
So what could be responsible for a summarized data having a standard deviation greater than its mean value? So what could be responsible for having a standard deviation greater than its mean value? You have to teach me statistics. Are you saying there is a rule that says standard deviation cannot be greater than its mean value? Who is asking this question?
Abdul Hakim, I also thought about it that there's nothing wrong. It is not impossible for standard deviation to be greater than the mean. So I don't know where, Abdul Hakim, do you want to ask your question maybe properly? But it is possible. It's nothing. It is not. I think it depends on the data, on the kind of data. Okay, you can have standard deviation must be one, must be a positive value, whereas you can have mean, negative mean, positive mean, all of that. So it is possible for a data set to have standard deviation greater than the mean.
So in any case, the fact that you even see it in the results shows that it's possible.
Professor.
Yes.
The by foreign sort command that we use, I tried to put comma at the end and put detail, and it also gives the result, separating the foreign from the domestic, giving the kurtosis and the likes. So I'm another professor now.
That's good.
See.
You are a professor, so I will give you professor class. So let's move on to last part and let's see how far we can go. Remember, we have spent our time here, but now we are going to statistics, and you will see that even in the menu statistics, the first line of items is where you have the summaries, tables, and tests. And then the first one here, even though that's not where we will go today, this is where we want to go. I plan that we'll be able to cover everything here, but obviously there is no way we'll be able to cover that. Let's see what we can do. First of all, one-way table. One-way table. So I won't waste time. We'll just copy this command. You can, you need to specify what variable you want. You can copy that, and then so that is the one-way table. So in one-way table, you are trying to obtain the frequency of the observations. So the variable repair record, there are one, 2, 3, 4, 5 unique observations there. And 1 appears 2 times, 2 appears 8 times, 3 appears 30 times. In fact, if you remember, we have found out that there are cases that are missing, about 5 of them. And that's why the total here is 69. Yes, so 5 observations are, even though that is not reported in the tabulate command. So in tabulate, you see frequency, percentage, frequency, and this is the cumulative percentage frequency. So we could even plot. We could use the plot option. So plot option, we create a form of histogram to show that you have the modal class here, and then you see the shape of this distribution. You see the shape of this distribution. So we could also, if these values are not sorted, we could use sort. For instance, if I tabulate foreign, no, is a variable that we can also tabulate. You know, when you are using tabulate, you must make sure that the variable you are dealing with, they are variables that are in categorical form, or nominal, or ordinal. Please remember. So they are in categories, not variables like price. If you use tabulate for price, you won't like it. What you will see, you won't like it. So only for variables that are in categories. So foreign is in category, so I can tabulate foreign, and also I can say sort it. So this is tabulation, and is sorted from the based on alphabetical order, D, then F. You have that. So you can also tabulate. I can tabulate foreign. If I may not want all of them, I may say if the make. In other words, I only want to tabulate foreign if the make is of certain brand of vehicle. And the brand I'm interested in now is, because it's a string, I want Audi Fox. I want to tabulate Audi Fox. Sorry. So, Fox. You have to put it in quotation mark. so that why we put it in quotation mark is because it is a string, and you will see I'll use double equal sign, equal to sign. So that is that. So actually there is only one Audi Fox. That, and that one is foreign. That's it. I could also use tabulate for certain category of price. Let me say this. If price, for instance, tabulate foreign, if price is greater or equal to 4,000. So in other words, I want to see how many I want to see the frequency based on only for those that earn, only for make with prices equal to or more than 4,000. So this is the tabulation now. There are actually 45 domestic with prices equal or greater than 4,000. And also there are 18 foreign with prices greater or equals to 4,000. So altogether, domestic and foreign, there are 63 with prices equal or greater than 1,000. So this is what we are doing when we are doing one-way table. Sometimes also our interest is in two-way table. So in two-way table, okay, before I come to two-way table, let's look at multiple one-way table. So in multiple one-way table, you look at it. So this is multiple one-way table. So I can, for instance, if I just select the repair 78 and I don't select any other one, it will still give me what I obtained under tabulate, So I can say, okay, you see, so tab 1 is the command. And this tab 1, because it's only one variable, it's only going to give me one-way table. But if I have two variables, I cannot use tabulate, I will use tab 1. So I can have now tab 1. I can now tabulate. Of course, when you are tabulating, I've told you, the variables must be categorical. So I can only tabulate 1 categorical, 2 categorical, or 2 or more categoricals. So let's see how this goes. So in this case now, it will tabulate for each level of repair. You can see for each level of for foreign, for you see the tabulation for repair record, There are 5 levels, so this is the frequency. So then for foreign, you see the frequency. So what you see here is actually like using tabulate 2 times. So in other words, this command that you see here is the same thing as when you use tabulate. When you use tabulate this one, and you now use tabulate foreign, so separately. So the only thing is it allows you to do this 2-way tabulation, 1-way tabulation multiple times. So it's still 1 way. This is 1 way. This is 1 way. It's not yet 2-way, but you are doing this tabulation multiple ways. So that is what to do here under this. So this is 1-way table. This is multiple 1-way table. You could do 1 way here for 1 variable. Do for 1 categorical variable. If you have 2 categorical variables, then you will be doing it 2 times. But with multiple 1-way tables, you can do for the 2 categorical variables all at once. Only that you will save yourself the problem of using tabulate first time, tabulate second time. You can just use tab 1 and list all the variables. But so each of them will produce a frequency, a 1-way frequency table. Now let's go to yes, because our time, oh wow, our time. Let's do the 2-way to make ourselves happy now and then stop for today.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Suppose I want to tabulate price into.
You want to tabulate price.
For example, I have the price. The price is in continuous form and it's not categorical.
It's
but I
not
want to categorize. Yes, sir, I want to categorize the price into a range. Maybe like from 200 to 1,000. First group. 1,000 to 2,000. Second group. I want to kind of tabulate price into those groups. How do I go about that?
You can do that. You will know how to do. You have to generate another variable completely. So you have to generate. Maybe I will just do something close to that, and then we will stop today.
Okay.
So let me say, for instance, I want that price. I want to categorize them into those with high cost, those I want to regard as vehicles of high cost, and those that I regard as low cost. So I can start by saying generate. I can say string. The variable I want you to generate is string. Call it cost. And I can say, okay, every thing in that variable, just name it high. So this one will be generated. Now you will see here cost has been generated. But the thing is that that cost that is generated, everything will be high. You see, it has assigned high. Now I want to replace those ones that have whose prices are below 8,000. I want to replace them with okay, to make it a bit clear to you. Let me drop that cost again, just so let me do it all over again and say generate, but I want to put it side by side with price. So I can put it side by side with price. So I will generate that. So you will see now that I can list make, price, cost in the first five observations. I just list them. So you can see make, this is the make, this is the price, this is the cost. Now I want to, this is just for the first five. I can see the remaining, you know, there will be, of course, 74 observations there. But this is just a list of the first five. Now I want to replace. So I'm writing replace cost to be equals to low if price is less than 8,000. If price is less than 8,000, okay, change it, make that cost to be low. So there are 60 real changes there. So, and of course, you could easily see that if you look at this now. Look at this price. Look at this price, because it's less than 8,000, the cost is low. Look at this one, because it's more than 8,000, the cost is high. So I've converted this price, which is numeric, I've converted it into categorical, low, high. Is that okay? Is that not what you're asking?
Actually, I've benefited from what you did now, but
okay, I've
that
also
is not
benefited
actually,
from.
that is not actually what I have in mind. For example, if you have age categories, maybe
it is the same way. I only use for two. You can do for as many categories that you want to create. I thought it would be smarter. If I do for two, you should be able to do for three.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Abi, you don't want to be a professor?
Another professor in the
So let us now quickly round up and then say, now we can tabulate. Let's say we want to tab. So we will use tab 2 because of time, and then tab the repair, and tab foreign, and then tab cost. So let's see what we have here. So you can see now we have been able to produce sort of tabulation in which we have tabulation for cost, high or low, and we are also able to have repair. So there are 0 vehicles of high cost with 1 repair. So none of the high cost vehicle has up to 1 repair. No, but there are 2, and you will see most of those who have the high cost, they generally have fewer number of repairs. They have fewer number of repairs. But the low cost, they have high number of repairs, and so on like that. This is also foreign by cost. You will notice that most of the high cost vehicles, but most of the high cost vehicles, they are actually domestic, as well as the low cost vehicles, they are also domestic. I think this is where we will have to stop for today. We have exceeded our time. I thought we would be able to talk about, but please, everything that I couldn't discuss, you will see them right in the, please, you should be able to do all this yourself, explore many things here. And then I hope the way I help to develop the slides, you can easily follow. Thank you, and thank you for your very rapt attention and your total cooperation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you.
I'm very grateful, and all our participants that have stayed till the end. It is, as we all know, it is time is a constraint that we all have to battle with. It is never sufficient. So, and the training, the state training is hand-on. Questions coming intermittently, and the need to explain the best, the best possible way that we can all follow was part of the reasons why we took. You see that Prof sometimes, as a matter of fact, has to rush, and a lot of these things are finished because it takes time. So I think the remaining part of the class, in the lecture notes, we can only hands on it on them. User quite when you have questions, please feel free to drop on the. You might have some classroom, might not even be up. Might be some other classmates that might be able to answer your question. Sorry, I don't know if Prof can take this question from Moinat. I don't know if he said, may I can explain and it interpreted tablet. Moinat, please, you want to ask a question? I can't.
Sir, in one of his slides, he has that tabulate rep 78 foreign cell, then chi-square. So I tried to do that. So I don't know how to interpret and what results.
The result.
I think we will discuss chi-square later, but the main gist here is how to really describe, summarize data, not to draw inference now. We are still coming to test of hypothesis and how you can test for independence among categorical variables. So don't worry, just exercise patience. All this will be discussed. If I explain now, you won't appreciate until.
Please kindly explain. I'm actually doing one analysis that has to do with this, and I don't know how to interpret the PR, the chi-square, Pearson, and the rest.
Okay, then you need a essential consultant. Maybe when you see Professor Edele, he will tell you how much you will pay. Then, so I think
so well, I think also just to add to what Prof said, some of these things I believe.
Hello, sir. I can hear you. Hello, sir.
Muina, I believe you to a large.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So I was saying that, and this also I think relates to everyone, and those are still on the group, right, on the recording. So I think I can let me stop the recording so that we can continue our conversation. Sorry, I think we are through with the class. So thank you, everyone. I will respond to you, Mina.
Okay.